Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the rank 1 Terran in the world. In the blue, it's Clem. Facing off against arguably the best Protoss out there, the mysterious MaxPax. In a best of 3, Terran versus Protoss Grand Finals. We return to the kids' table to enjoy the top-tier plays of players who are at least a decade younger. But before you can think too hard or too fast about that, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button. Maybe even subscribe. Help me kind of the algorithm and Jimmy, what do we got? 1,705 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than MaxPax's, as he didn't go for the Reaper wall. Actually, Clem is waiting out the first unit. Gonna try to bounce in with the Reaper, and the Stalker says no. Denied. Papers, please. And he didn't like what he saw. The Stalker gonna do what it does best, though, of course. Stalking as it chases it around. But for now, unable to catch it. Obviously, Stalker's without blink. Essentially unable to catch anything besides maybe some existential dread, but... Really? He gave him the full runaround, comes back. A second Stalker, and MaxPax going with 3 Stalkers, not going with a sentry behind the first Stalker. So... recently, and much to the chagrin, I like that one, of Clem specifically, but Terrans in general, the early sentry build, using energy recharge to smash 100 energy into the sentry in order to get a hallucinated Phoenix. And you can essentially scout everything the Terran is doing before they can even do it. Alright, you get that hallucination across the map so quickly. And of course, the Reaper, also pretty quick. Quick enough to evade the Stalkers chasing it down from either side, and so far, getting away with it. The most annoying unit in the game, but also partially the most effective because of it. Definitely not the most annoying in the game. There's tough competition there, but it's up there. Going to be a medevac with a single Widow Mine, but MaxPax, 3 Stalkers first. Really making sure he has the unit count early, and now he's got a 3rd Nexus on the way. But a Cyclone and a Reaper, the unlikely buddy cop combo, locks on. Reaper spots, gonna keep that vision, and the Stalkers easily takes out one. And if the Reaper tanks the damage, bounces the Stalkers away. A cheeky move by Clem, able to pick off the Stalker for effectively free. And now the sentry, there we go, energy recharge, hallucinated Phoenix across the map, because you still want to know what's coming out of the starport. And if they don't have a starport, that's also very important information. Though, they're going to have a starport, especially with the Cyclone early on. Well, of course, the Phoenix remains silent because 1, it's not real, and 2, even if it was, Protoss do not have mouths, but spots the 3rd command, so he starts Hyperflight Rotors, which is not even... Wait, what? I was like, it's not even worth it because it costs the same as Cloak if you're going to fake Cloak. Why do that? But then he just starts building a band. There's no way. There's no way. Well, we can't pontificate about that because the Widow Mine drop is headed in towards the main base and there's absolutely nothing to protect the probes. A bit of a problem to start things off, but the sacrifices are offered and accepted. Blink is completed, but he blinked to get anywhere close to killing off the mine. So 3 probes will be taken. Is he Mech? I've heard. Legend has foretold of a disturbance in the force multipliers. Recently, Terran players have said they are convinced. Clem, Maru, others. What? I'm not sure the 1 tank timing is great, but that Mech is actually the only way to deal with the late game Protoss with the mass storm sort of style. Stop right there. Unfortunately, the Reaper has guns, so a force field, and the sentry only politely, yet firmly asked the Reaper to leave and managed to actually get a kill. But he's going Mech with Hypershees, Hyperflight Banshees that are obscenely fast. Who needs Cloak when you can just outfly the enemy? And with enough Banshees, Stalkers are not a massive threat. Storm is, of course, still good. It's going to be Hell Clones with Mag Field Accelerator for that 50% more lock-on damage. Widowmon drop is back in the main. The probes are able to get away. Siege tank at the 3rd. And Has he realized?
Your forces are under attack.
I don't know if MaxPax realized that this is Mech quite yet, though we might be suspecting it momentarily. And what is he gonna do differently? Well, maybe add a Stargate on kinda soon, but honestly, well, just walks up, smacks the siege tank with the stalkers, metaphorically of course. And there's another siege tank tucked in. The Cyclone's locked. He got him blocked too forward, too deep, and too greedily. And the Hellions are gonna give this all away. There's not much else to be done. Banshees! 5 probes dead as Clem darts in with the Hyper Shees. But they don't, well, once again, they don't need Cloak when they can outfly the Blink Stalkers. Charge lots coming in. The Hellions, remarkably good against them. That's why I remarked on it. That extra damage against light needs something to back it up, though, as the Stalkers can easily pick them apart. Clem, adding even more factories. The Banshees are back. They don't have Cloak. Yeah, he's scanning, thinking about taking out the Observer. Maybe MaxPax will back off, just assuming they do have Cloak, but the Banshee's being repaired now in the mineral line. 8 SCV's dead. MaxPax not gonna let Clem build up that critical mass. The siege tank ends up getting an extra hit off, though. More Stalkers in the third. Gonna kill some of the SCVs. Just waltzes into the main despite the door. It was down, and MaxPax very grateful for it. 11 SCVs dead. Cyclones, Hellbats in Hellbat mode, waddling around the force field. Down goes the Sentry. Stalkers in the main gonna be cleaned up. Warp Prism brought in a few charge lots, but the Cyclones will chip right through them. Down goes the Observer as well. And the onslaught of MaxPax has eventually been whittled down to almost nothing. The Cyclones chasing down, and the Archon can only drift away so quickly. Will escape for now. Storm is done. But I'll be honest, I have not seen this particular strategy, especially by a Terran of this caliber, and by that I mean Clem is the best Terran, so... MaxPax getting caught a little off guard by the mech, but there's not really much of a shift. It's not so much the units you build, but it's how you use them. Alright, not so much how you... The numbers still matter, though. How many you have is still very relevant. I guess the biggest change is, instead of going for Robo-Bay like Colossi, or even Disruptors, though doubtful against Clem, you go for Immortals, and Archons, and Charge Knots, and try to have this brawny army, and catch the mech army out. In a heads-up fight, it's going to be almost impossible for mech to actually outright kill the Protoss. But Terran units are optimized for cowardice. They run away while shooting. They transform into a beefier mode. They pick up and they boost out. Not in this case, but the general ideas apply. But the Storm's not as damaging. Ooh. To the mech army. He's even got Metavacs, or like Mechavacs. The Hellbats being healed because technically they're biological units in Hellbat mode. I guess you get close enough, you can cosplay as one. But back on the other side, 15 SCVs dead, but Clem maintaining a massive supply lead. Juggles back some of the clones. Hellbats melting through the Stalkers. And despite the fact it feels like Clem keeps losing a critical mass of units, he maintains an equal or even greater supply. He's down 10 workers, but he's been consistently building SCVs. MaxPax +1 attack. Clem's about to fill it in. Though, to be honest, the upgrade's not nearly as relevant for mech. It's more about those basic unit upgrades, like Magfield Accelerator for the lock-ons, because the lock-on is a spell cast, or an ability, or whatever. So that means it doesn't use weapon upgrades, and it goes straight through armor. Meanwhile, Infernal Pre-Igniter, Blue Flame for the Hellbats, is another flat damage upgrade that is unaffected by weapons. It's good to have them. Very helpful in general, but it's not a priority. Hellbat Trop Innovation! I'm just getting the flashbacks. Back when Hellbats were an existential threat to everyone, and were nerfed so that way they could only fit 2 per medevac, as opposed to 4. So the medevac actually spots the army. Stalkers blunk forward, but the Cyclone catches the stragglers and will easily take down the Prism, as well as the stray charge lots. Both armies very mobile. The Storm doing near maximum damage. The Hellbats being healed by the medevacs, but getting in the way of some of the clones. Gonna chase it down. Meanwhile, Hellbat drop a few more probes, chasing down the main army, but chasing Cyclones is a precarious endeavor to say the least. Some charge lots coming in from the north, but the Cyclone's doing so much damage in the process. Going to be able to outflank. Main base, Hellbat, cannon helping out. Meanwhile, reinforcements pick off one of the Templar, but the Cyclones will be obliterated in turn. The supplies are still dramatically close to even. Honestly, I'm not sure how different that is than the Bio versus Gateway Templar army that we usually see. The Mech army, Cyclone's pretty heavy on the supply. Hellions 2 apiece as well. Gotta keep thinking about the economy behind it. Clem going up to 7 factories. MaxPax is on 12 gateways. Just pumping out units across the map really clearly. Trying not to let Clem stabilize. Archon picked off by the Cyclones. A few more Templar gliding forward. The fact that he's still building a bunch of medevacs in order to heal the Hellbats endlessly amuses me with this bio-curious composition. But McDonald's is fully online. The SCVs are pulled. They're technically mech units as well. The boys on the front line. Another storm, but there's not that much splash damage otherwise. And the Stalkers are thinning out, and Clem is able to show the Protoss that his mechanical units are superior. They can be healed, they can be repaired, and they can't be challenged easily on the field. The pre-scan, in order to maintain the lock, the blink does not break the lock unless you're able to blink out of vision range or total range in general. So pre-scanning allowed him to continue to pick off the Stalkers from afar. MaxPax retargeting onto the medevac. What an interesting game, but still incredibly unclear who's in the lead. MaxPax has a few more workers, but of course mules are quite a quantity. The income keeps flipping up and down, and the y-axis is not much to speak of. Income's effectively even for all intents and purposes. Nexus down the center going to be taken out, and this will give Clem a 1-base advantage technically. But the charge lots at the back. 1-1 is done for Clem, just +2 weapons for MaxPax. The base upgrades for the units pale in comparison to the power on the field. Like I mentioned, those unit upgrades, and of course Storm. Just melting right through the armor. But the fact that they can survive one or more storms is the key moment here. The Planetary Fortress, the SCV is just a little late on the repair, and going to escape before they all get picked off. There are no ghosts. Storm still doing terrible damage, trying to chase it down. Charge lots in the natural. Hellbat's not enough to stop them. And the storms are weakening the mech army, but not enough to take it out. The Cyclones are chasing. Another Archon will be dissipated. But the charge lots managed to cut off some of the reinforcements. Still 135 to 135 supply across the board. Planetary Fortress down the center. MaxPax maintaining enough heat. There are no great targets for the Cyclones because his entire army is gateway units with a few Templar. This reminds me a lot of the SC Evo matches we saw recently. Where just mass gateway while you trickle out Templar. Oh, in that case, Reavers, but the Reavers didn't work out so well. So. Stalkers and Zealots again. Probes dying. Templar. But the Cyclones dance away. The Hellbats waddle with the medevacs healing overhead. Charge lots zoned out by the Cyclones. Meanwhile, the medevacs healing some of the SCVs. Cyclones chasing down. Clem has taken a supply lead. Hellions working their way by, incinerating even more probes. MaxPax with a serious problem. And meanwhile, takes down the base down the center. That's a sentence. Chases. The storms on the way out. There's no more storms, though. The Templar not enough energy. Just mass targeting the Immortal. The Templar will be taken down in turn, and MaxPax dips 20 supply. What an army composition here. The Cyclones lock on across the board, but the Storm still finding a lot of damage. MaxPax down 30 supply now. The Hellbat's out in front. Clem just melting through the front line. The mass Stalker composition to deal with it. There haven't been upgrades for quite a while. Hellbat drop comes in again, and MaxPax with a tenuous economic lead could easily be burnt out. A single charge slot. The main base of Clem was floated towards the 6 o'clock here. The mass medevac overhead, but eating a lot of the storms. Gets an Archon merge off. Clem forced to work towards the north side. 12 more probes dead. The charge lot's finding a lot of damage, but Hellbat's cleaning him up. Stalker's blinking forward. Stagger blinks back. Whittles down the Cyclone count to the point that he might be able to chase the army. Now, Clem has some of the supply and medevacs, which are helpful for the Hellbats, but they do almost nothing for the Cyclones. I guess he could micro away, but MaxPax has now lost possibly a critical mass of probes. He's got to get more damage done. The blink backward breaks the locks. There's only 3 orbital commands, so we can't just scan at a moment's notice. The stagger blinks are working out for the most part, but the medevacs are providing the vision. He's able to chase it down. Energy recharge on one of the Templar. Single charge slot. Single Cyclone to match it. Hellions intercepted on the high ground. What a game. MaxPax has lost 2,000 more resources. The Hell Clones are able to match on the field and weather the storms, as opposed to the weak bio units, on the other hand, which would have melted underneath them. Targets a Templar, doesn't quite take it out. That Templar has 2 storms. Another Hellbat drop, and a run by. The Hellbat's just bullying the probes. The storms, though, Clem looking the other way for a moment, eating a lot of damage to the storm. The Cyclone's bruised and battered. The Stalker's ready to fight. Blinks over to the side, tries to break the lock. Meanwhile, main base, there's no probes left to burn. The Stalker's chase. How's the game still so close? Clem gonna try to sneak out another upgrade, but the Cyclones, there's almost no Hellbats left. Then again, there's not that many charge lots being added into the composition. We're left with just the mechanical units, as flesh is weak and malleable. I told you, back in my day, we used to go mech every game. Mech Terran, Grandpa. Stop. All you bio-curious kids nowadays, I don't like it. Mech is the way to go. Sorry. I don't know how he got online. 20 probes dead. 25. Clem floated another command center out. He's chasing the base to the north. The Stalker's on the hunt. The economy's almost non-existent for both sides. Mining off maybe one base. Actually, Clem isn't mining at all. He's trying to float another command center down. The charge lock counter. Devastated. The army is intercepted. The Stalkers blink back. And Clem underwater in supply. There's a lot of it is still in medevacs, though he's chasing down these Stalkers. Another storm barely hits anything. But Clem is mining off like 3 mineral patches. 23 SCVs slaughtered. That +2 mech weapon is about to complete. I'm not sure how much that factors into the fight. It might be enough to... Well, that helps out a lot more for the Hellions versus probes, I believe, but... What in the... Another Hellbat drop? And again... The Stalker count. 28 Stalkers, 3 Templar. There's still 11 clones. This could go sideways for either player. I feel like MaxPax is actually stabilized. Another Hellbat drop loaded up. How many Hellbats have 73 Hellbats, 60 clones, 36 Hellions? They're counted differently. 75 Stalkers, 113 Zealots. But all that matters is the 100 supply or so left on the field for both sides. Another storm. The income shifted towards MaxPax for a little while, but the Hellions with +2 picking off the probes individually. But the army in the midfield gonna pre-scan. There might be enough Stalkers to chase, but MaxPax doesn't want to risk it. Because if he gets caught with no blink, he could lose everything. But if Clem types GG, he probably won't. Clem. Was it over? So, Clem is building 3. Let's go to the Clem camp. There's enough stalkers.
Mineral
I
field
get it.
completed.
I don't like it. It is very likely with 30 stalkers, MaxPax is a few steps away from winning the game. But Clem, back at it again with the questionable GG timings, even after one of the closest games I have ever seen, and by far the closest of that unit composition. I've never quite seen the Hell Clone play out that far. I don't know if it wasn't. I know that Terrans have said, this is the way. All right, you have to go mech. Because energy recharge with all the scouting early on, and then for storms later, it's just too much. But you have to survive to get it. Thing is, Clem did so with significant ease. It did a lot better than I expected. But MaxPax, I think, caught a little off balance by the mech itself and then the hyper shield. Like, it was... That seemed like a fake cloak. He comes in, and he scouts the Starport Tech Lab upgrading. It's a fake. And it wasn't cloak. It was Hyperflight Banshees. One of the most microable units in the game. I think the only unit that is faster... I think Phoenixes are very slightly faster. Like, by less than 5%. Maybe Mutas. But it's up there. It's almost as fast as a Zergling. So, well, okay. I see what they mean. I believe you. You know, I wasn't accusing Clem of being, you know, Clem arguably, well, I don't think there's anyone in the world who knows this matchup better than Clem, obviously, as Clem is the first-ranked Terran versus Protoss player and the third-ranked Protoss versus Terran. I believe he's actually ranked slightly higher than Hero because gestures at Hero's gameplay. Thing is, Hero is the... Yes, it took 2 whole games to get to Hero, which is, you know, that's how crazy that last game was. What was I? That's also how Hero thinks, so that was just a reference. Like and subscribe for method acting. Yeah, Hero has a wider range. Some days, Hero beats Cyril or Clem, and Cyril, Clem, and MaxPax back to back. In some days, he looks like the best Diamond Leaguer in StarCraft 2. Unfortunately, one of those days was the Esports World Cup playoffs, when he decided Proxy Nexus was a new strategy. And not like in the base as a rush, but like as a, instead of a pylon. Oh, Hero. What would we do without you? Probably be way more bored, at least, but... My point being, Clem, my original point, is the most knowledgeable. Alright? But Clem is also the person who a few weeks ago, I don't know how many of you watched Pig's video, or at least the clickbaity part, where Clem was effectively begging Pig for ideas to try in Terran versus Protoss, because he's out of them. And the reason why this complaint is so prevalent is the energy recharge ability in this matchup. Like MaxPax is demonstrating for us now. Those Reapers decide... Okay, you see, the emotional support field. That force field 100% just got at least 2 probes killed. Maybe a third if this Reaper yeah. I am convinced that force field should just be disabled against Terran. Hallucination and Guardian Shield are good enough. Because so many times... They have guns. Okay, they just shoot over... They go around, or they shoot over. But... Energy recharge. The ability to slap 100 energy into the sentry in order to scout pretty much before there's any tech. And then later on 100 energy into a Templar, so that way you have 2 storms every minute. Like, on demand. That... Well, this is just disrespectful. He just walks right by. 100% of that Widow Mine was in the perfect spot. Well, that was the perfect spot to not actually hit anything. Oh my, what am I watching? Here we go again. Clem. Clem saves SCVs with the medevac. Gonna try to hunt a single stalker with a single marine. Technically, it could do so, as the marine with the medevac could dodge all the shots. MaxPax, when he saw that Widowmine placement, I think he was asking himself a lot more whether or not he could than whether or not he should. He gets in, though, and he slows things down a bit. There's a Raven on the way. A second barracks is spotted, which now 95% chance this is not Mech. I wouldn't blame Clem for trying it. Okay, it feels like there was more than enough potential there. It was just MaxPax held on so strongly. I actually would love to see against... Well, that sentry. That was sad. Losing a sentry to the Widowmine. I would love to see Clem play that style again. Well, I feel like I just haven't seen the games yet, but I know he's played against Classic a lot lately, too. And according to the results, it has not gone well. I think Classic is just too stable. MaxPax is willing to do the fencing duel with Clem. It's not like this crazy YOLO kamikaze slam that Hero is constantly juggling flaming swords and occasionally throwing one at his opponent. Classic, on the other hand, is happy to sit at home and wait for you to come to him. While we're personality profiling Protoss players, though. I mean, the best Protoss have either been full shield toss, like Stats or Neeb, or YOLO toss, who, well, on the spectrum of Protoss, I feel like you have to be on the either end of the other ones in order to be the most successful. Like, you have players like MC, Parting, Zest, who will their way into a victory. I think MaxPax started there, but he's moved his way more towards the shield toss. Unfortunately, he did not move his way towards dealing with this early Raven, and has ended up losing a kind of surprising amount of probes. 4 probes with no damage on the Raven, and he's anchoring multiple stalkers back at home, so they can't really be pressuring the front. The Marines, there's not even stim. There's another emotional support field. The feedback from the Templar plus the shots from the Stalker make that medevac very uncomfortable. But everything survives. The Stalker is stalking! He might get it. Into the corner. I don't think that's enough space. Have to pay respects. Okay. Clem is halfway across the map, with the majority of his army. Storm's on the way. Here we go. The storm is already done. MaxPax trying to pump out an Immortal. Unfortunately, was a bit supply blocked, so won't have it for a while. What do you do? What is that? Is that a signature move? It's like I hit him with a force field. Like, why? 'Cause then he knows who hit him. Okay. Good luck with that. Charge law forces a cancel on the refinery. Several seconds of delay. Raven still hanging out at the back, making everyone uncomfortable. MaxPax trying to decide whether attacking is in his best interest, as attacking into an entrenched position. There are already ghosts on the field. One storm off the front. EMP, but the storm was already cast. There's a few more Templar down there. Whips out another one, but trickling them in one at a time. Right, next. So Clem couldn't quite see the Templar until they come close enough. If he doesn't have a scan, he's actually potentially wading into the storm. Which is, you know, not good for your health. As the medevacs are trying to patch up. Another EMP just a moment late. It's technically a projectile. It's just so fast, it's almost impossible to dodge. I guess the most relevant part being when the EMP is in the air and then the storm is cast before it lands. Which we saw like 2 or 3 times in that fight. And by fight, I mean border skirmish. Where a few zealots and a bit of bile taking down the ghosts. Right in the midst of everything. One dying very dramatically. Clam with a slight supply lead, but a warping could change that easily. The Raven's back. And there it goes. Has enough for 3 auto turrets momentarily. Budaman softens up some more zealots. Gonna try to target down some of the... Well... There's a whole lot of nothing there, but EMP misses the mark. A second one. There's still enough for Storm on just one. Charge lots towards the north side. There's a bunker, but it's a showpiece right now. Nothing in it. 4 SCVs dead. Clem maintains that near 200 supply. MaxPax actually whittled down a bit. He's now shifting into the Colossi. Trying to get another flavor of splash damage to mix it up. As the storm is not quite breaking Clem. That's the risk of sitting right at the edge. I guess it's good for MaxPax that he didn't outright commit, as he very likely would have crumbled under the withering firepower of the combined Terran army. But the Ghosts, actually, one of the few units that won't die very easily to storm. I guess Marauders too, but when they stim, they become a lot more vulnerable. Another stim! Another storm. The Colossus has its shield stripped away immediately. 3 more racks in production. Vikings as well. Ghost Cloak. MaxPax already has a 4th base. Clem landed his planetary fortress in production. The tension mounts, but the supplies can't go much further. More gas. Clem playing patiently. Not risking it outside. He knows it's stormy weather today. And Colossi, waiting for their opportunity to actually be useful. Blunks forward. The Bio Army, a single Colossus at the back, trying to draw some fire, but the Planetary Fortress will be a stopgap for those charge lots. Easily takes them out. Just a couple Templar in front. EMP takes the rest of the energy. There's more Templar behind, waiting for their opportunity. Pre-split stims. Clem trying to chase it down. A few more storms at the back. Vikings over the top. Storm not enough. They come right through it. Meanwhile, everything softened up. There's a couple more storms on the final Templar, but Clem's supply stays high. The Colossi have mostly toppled. Lines up a shot, tries to snipe, but interrupted by the storm itself. But that's it. There's no more Templar. And Clem, he sees weakness. It doesn't matter if his units are in autumn colors and a half step away from death. MaxPax does not have what it takes to compete with them. Clem not getting drawn into the storms. The Raven has 8 kills now. It survived throughout all this. I think at the last moment, he used that select all army key. But so far, it's MaxPax who's been getting Edgar Allan pwned. That Raven just comes in again. 4 more probes. A constant automated turret thorn in the side of MaxPax that he can't seem to get rid of. It's not worth keeping enough stalkers back at home to deal with it, and the attention just keeps dragging MaxPax away when he needs to be focusing on the other side. But there's a fusion core for Clem on the way as he goes up to that late game tier 3 tech. Likely Caduceus reactor, maybe advanced ballistics later on. But having double the energy regen on medevacs is clearly a great idea. when you're looking to enable this many dudes with drugs, guns, and a severe hatred of the Protoss. Feels right at home. A few charge lots in the main. And the natural. This is when things can come undone for the Terran. Quite easily. The charge lot's drawing an inordinate amount of units back at home. But trying to come up this ramp, he has the high ground. And, well, the Templar, there's a lot of ghosts, plenty of Vikings. Our Danish player should be very aware of the dangers Vikings can pose in another store. This one finding a lot of connection. But the Vikings knock down the Colossi. He keeps them intact for now. Doesn't drop down. 13 SCVs dead. The charge lots, I think, just took out a starport. They target another one. Clem gonna rebuild it immediately. The production itself is under fire. Clem, back to the Raven. Slaps down another couple turrets. There is a shield battery. MaxPax moves away for now. Stalkers try to break the high ground yet again. But instead, they will break upon it. A second fusion core on the way. Did he delay the first one? What? Well, that's how you know he really wants it. Yeah, Clem building 2 fusion cores simultaneous. The Colossus, not again! Oh no! Caught between a rock and a hard place. Using Apple Maps yet again. That Colossus did not take the right path. I really should warn you when Terrans are holding the line. MaxPax dips 30 supply. A recall of I don't know what. A single immortal? Was it trapped or something? It's unclear. But now he's trapped up against his own Nexus. Are there enough Templar to deal with this? 3-3 for Clem against us. 3-1 for MaxPax. And there's no Templar with energy. He's just trying to avoid the Archons for now. The Raven finally gets drawn in with the Select All Army key. Another Templar. And up Storms. Tries to target him. Storms in the choke point. And he pushes him back from the gap for now. Another Storm. But those are the only 2 Templar, and another one gets shot down by the Ghost. Clem is stabilizing. Caduceus Reactor is on the way. Did he notice his second fusion core? I don't think so. But the first one. 6 SCVs in production simultaneously. Charge lots on the left side. A third robotics facility is on the way. Takes out the charge lots. Despite the best efforts of both players. They're both still firing on all cylinders. MaxPax has clearly lost a significant amount more resources. Clem has had the jump on him throughout most of these fights, despite the fact MaxPax was mostly the aggressor. He hasn't been able to find the cataclysmic storm. Hit him with the signature move. The emotional support field. EMP wipes out the energy of the Nexus, which does not prevent energy recharge. It only any Nexus can cast it. Just has to be nearby another one to channel it or something. But the Nexus just crumbles. MaxPax is chasing. He's got a Dark Shrine on the way, and a Shrine to Dark is always a great thing. But is that enough to change the equation here? Because Clem looks dangerously close to solving it. A single special operative, right? Try to chase. Feedback. When he gets enough bad feedback that he decides to just leave, as his services are clearly not wanted here. A massive drop just over the top of the mineral wall. Looking to take out the Nexus. Recall is available, but it could be a death trap. He goes for it anyways. The recall comes through, but he gets the Nexus. A couple ghosts will be cut down. But if MaxPax isn't able to capitalize, I believe he has Cloak for the ghost, but chases it down. Yet another Nexus. And MaxPax is very quickly running out of bases. He's down to just 3. His main is natural at his third. The outlying bases have been completely taken out. The drops are loaded up, and he goes deeper into the Protoss base. One of the full medevacs is knocked out of the sky as MaxPax clambers back towards his main. And Clem is dropping the bases like it's a Skrillex album right now. And another one! The Liberators with a Venn diagram of freedom. And MaxPax with precious few. He might get revealed momentarily with how few bases are left on the map. Clem just outmaneuvering him. MaxPax close to maxed out, but he may have to pack his bags and find another map at this rate. Clem is all over him. Another Nexus. Energy recharge is off cooldown, but the Templar are off the map. And Clem is just squeezing him from both sides at high velocity. There's no stalkers with this army. He could just pick up again. Clem looking the other way for now. Ooh. Yeah, he picks up. I don't know what he was dealing with back at home, but gonna try to land on the forward base. But the last fight, wow, over the last 90 seconds, Clem destroying 8,000 minerals and 1,200 gas against his 1,200. An absolute disaster. A comprehensive breakdown for MaxPax. He's supply blocked of all things. He must construct additional pylons. Clem has managed to circumvent the brunt of the army. Maybe the only way MaxPax could get back into this is with the fully extended thermal lances incinerating the army on the bridges. But advanced ballistics is done. 4 Liberators at a time. Now working on +3 ship weapons. Clem has turned the tables here. And it looks like he's gonna tie things up. 4 observers with the army. A single Marauder back at home. Could easily pop that yet. And here we go. Yet again. This set of rocks and that pathing may have been the geographical conundrum that broke MaxPax. 2 or 3 Colossi getting caught at that angle. Cut into the momentum enough that Clem was able to swing the pendulum back around. And now, MaxPax, this is what's left. 4 Colossi, several Archons, a couple Templar, a capable army. But I fear, not enough. Clem, with a fleet of Liberators, gonna zone the army out, pushed up against his own units. MaxPax turns and fights and dies. And shows Clem how it's supposed to be done. That's what you GG. But Clem ties it up after a brutal game that looked like it might be able to go either way. Right up until it went Clem's. Knocking out 4 Nexi in less than 2 minutes and completely hamstringing MaxPax, who was entirely reliant on taking a good fight. The mech army was creative and inspired, but the bio army was clearly more capable. Clem ties it up 1-1. It's been a while. A surprising amount of time since we saw these two face off. I missed it. But hopefully, you don't miss the deciding match, game number 3 on Tokamak. MaxPax in the top right corner, Clem in the bottom left. Thank you to the LiuLi Cup. Back to weekly tournaments as well. I'm doing a monthly one, so if you've got the opportunity to check it out live, make sure to do so. And of course, if you want to see more, if you made it this far and you haven't yet liked and subscribed, well, that's kind of mean. What are you, a Terran player? You have to earn it. Well, let's let you in on a secret, all right? If you made it 45-something minutes into the video, even if you didn't like and subscribe, I think YouTube knows. All right, you're just here to hate watch and complain about Protoss versus Terran. All right. Unfortunately, Clem, when put to the test with that army composition that is so capable, once again proving it's very hard to beat. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask or who you are, it's almost impossible to control that well. Even Clem, on a regular basis, struggles. But that When Clem's firing on all cylinders, no one can beat him. Like, I stand by that. It doesn't take much, though, to... there's not always the grease needed. I guess we'll put it that way. Every little thing going right. And not because he got lucky, but because he put himself in that scenario. He put himself in the right spot at the right time. The Raven in position, keeping MaxPax busy. The constant pressure, contesting units on the field without committing. I think it partly works so well because MaxPax is a logical and pragmatic individual. All right. The common wisdom against everyone else is to stay aggressive. You do not want to let the Terrans get the momentum. Because, well, when they can stim and boost, even with warping, it's very hard to contest it. Clem didn't give him the choice at the end of things. An adept first. Curious. The Reaper gonna take the Reaper specific. Technically, Colossi can jump down there, so look forward to another way for Colossi to die at a random pathing. The vertically challenged or challenging units. Gonna play 2 Reapers, 1 Adept, which been a while since we watched that one. The Reapers will heal, the Adept cannot, emotionally or otherwise. Clem. Will MaxPax realize? Oh, the bait. Oh, that was masterfully done. The second SCV really sold it. Oh. The second SCV made it seem like Clem was fully ready to lose one in order to finish the command center. Oh. Traps the Reapers in. Minimal damage this time. No emotional support signature field in order to box out. But and MaxPax almost had the shade timing to actually dodge, but it wasn't enough. So the Adept just dies. What? Did he actually get in? No. Clem shut the door in his face. Rudely. But, you know. The Widowmine drop. Oh, but Citizens Arrest! The probes! Clem didn't drop it at that little mineral pocket area. And, oh, wow. How the turntables have turned as DJ Clem unable to drop the base successfully. MaxPax grabs the mine and is now pinning the medevac back, making it a lot less. Now, he doesn't know there isn't a Widow mine. You can't know what's in the medevac unless you saw a full medevac drop out. To MaxPax's knowledge, there could easily be another Widow mine in there. If he knew it was one Marine exclusively, I don't think he'd be keeping 2 Stalkers back at home. All right? At least not permanently. But he can't know there's not a... He cannot... Let me try to work this out of my head, all right? I'm not as young as these two. He can't know there isn't a mine in the meta. Yeah, there we go. That made sense. Just gotta say it slowly, I guess. Double Banshee with Cloak. 4 Stalkers thinking about jumping in, and the Observer gonna disabuse them of that notion. The Banshees could find a lot of damage. Mass charge lot follow-up, like mass charge. Whole bunch of gateways in production. But the Banshees will get damage done. Already 4 probes and counting. This is a disaster. He has to recall an Observer, which is never a great sign. The Sentry will get away, but 12 probes will not. Wow. Terrible, terrible damage being dealt. 14 probes dead. And MaxPax will plummet to dead even. Now, Clem, he only saw a couple gates, actually. If he had gone a few pixels further, he would have seen the Templar archives and 4 more gates. And this is a significant investment this early. Usually you kind of increment it out, but no. MaxPax sprinting straight up, and he's got a Warp Prism on the way, which almost always indicates he's trying to get aggressive. Stim is done. Didn't hit the stims, but still took out a couple of the stalkers. The chase. Storm is 20 seconds out. The Bio Army. He needs that storm. If the storm finishes, he can hold. If it doesn't, he dies. Emotional support field. Storm in 2 seconds. There's 1 Templar with energy, and the storm is apocalyptic. The Marines can't even stim away. Sacrifices 1 stalker. The Banshees are back in the main base, though. They didn't die. Neither of them died? Oh my, the Banshees stab back in and will slaughter the probes. The medevac's still back there. He might be able to get it out at this point. He's killing so many probes. Oh, wow. He finally takes out the Banshee. 16 more probes dead. A serious problem for MaxPax. What a devastating hit. The Banshees. More than enough. Widowmine drawn out. The Templar. Gonna try to push forward. If MaxPax's gonna try to contest the base, we'll kill. With the water balloons against it. The SCVs are pulled off the line. The Storms. That Templar just gliding forward casually. Casts another Storm at the last moment. There's another one off to the right flank. Clem, 15 SCVs dead, and the charge lot's in the main. Okay, wait a second. 18 workers dead. And charge lot's still intact. Clem thinned out dramatically. The Widowmines clean up most of the charge lots in the main. MaxPax able to deal a lot of economic damage. The Stalker's still trying to contest. These charge lots still fight. This has gone very... Clem's down to 37 SCVs. He pulled the SCVs to the front line to deal with Templar. But if he hadn't done so, the Storms could have been devastating, but they still were, and he took the SCVs with him. I don't know how many of them died on the front lines and how many of them were chopped down at home in the main, but still, is that the Warp Prism is knocked down. 3 medevacs are loaded up. Hey. And a few ragtag stragglers. But the medevacs are being chased. I don't know what... It looks like the medevac was either taken out or it made it all the way home. Unclear. The Templar gliding across the map. There's a recall available. He can just come home to deal with it. Clem retreating back, but MaxPax has started the base trade much earlier. Another Templar going to be warped in on the low ground. Does he have time for a recharge? He has it, and he has it on the ramp. Oh no, there's another one. Clem taking so much damage at the front, he's not even in the bunker. Gutting the probes. And Clem, without a single G in sight, taps it out. Clearly not hyped about that moment. Kind of falling on the storm, as so many Terrans have. A second yellow. Jimmy, where's my red card? Well, he's out of the game anyways. I know. MaxPax holding it together despite the critical damage dealt by the Banshees. Clem unable to build up the Ghost, defend against the Templar. An unceremonious end, but a demonstrative one as well. MaxPax takes it 2-1. Clem with some dramatic games, and then, well, hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you to the LiuLi Cup as well for putting on great tournaments every week, every month. And if you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you. I like this part. To the Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals, as always. Big Jiggy, Devin, Door, Kate, Mario, Suit. Glad you still enjoy. And everyone, thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. See you next time. Stay chill.